I'm so excited about this week's additive project. I'm going to use plaster for my project, and my students love using plaster. If you tell them they can plaster anything they want, they usually always want to plaster their hands. So I have a couple examples of what my students have done. This one was created by a girl who wants to be a mechanic, and she put on here women can too, mechanic, because it's kind of like trying to break that stigma of women can't do jobs that are predominantly male. So there's that. And then this is another project from a student who is basically talking about coming back to life after a tragedy that happened to her. She felt dead inside, and it was her faith that brought her back to life. So there's this one. I was a little disappointed in this because I really wanted her to push herself and create the flowers. However, she felt that she was under too much of a time constraint that she decided just to buy flowers and glue them on. It still turned out beautiful, but I wanted her to challenge herself. All right, so I'm starting with plaster strips. I get these in rolls, and then I usually cut them into strips for smaller strips for the students. If I don't have time to cut them, I will have them cut them into strips themselves before they actually start their project. With that, I also have some water. I have some vessels that I'm going to use to form my my plaster around. I have plastic wrap here that I'm going to put around the vessels first before I put the plaster on. I also have some wire I'm going to use, wool roving, and yarn that I'm going to use in my project. I may also decide to add some acrylic paint instead of leaving the vessels white. I haven't decided that far ahead yet, so I'm still like planning as I go. I have an idea of what the structure I want. I just don't know the exact finish yet. So with that being said, I started my first vessel already. I covered it with plastic wrap, and I went ahead and applied my first strip of plaster to it, and I'm going to go ahead and cover the entire thing, and then I can cut it with an X-Acto to take it off. You could also do this in sections. You could do either half and half and then put them together, or you could do like bottom, pull it off, top, pull it off. However, I'm going to do mine all in one. So I'm going to take my strips, I'm going to put them in water, or I'm going to take a strip at a time. And then I like to get the plaster really moving around before I even put it onto the vessel. So I like to start seeing those holes get filled with the plaster. And then I'm just gonna layer it over the top of, or not over the top, but partially over the top of the one that was already there. And then round it. Let me move this so you can see a little bit better. And then round it around there. Just lay it on the form. And then this is where I'm really gonna smooth out the plaster. And if it looks like it's not smoothing, it's not filling in those holes, I can apply more water to really fill in those holes. But you gotta find a fine line between too much water and not enough water. So I'm just gonna continue doing that. I have it nice and smooth. All the holes are all filled in. I'm just gonna continue doing that all the way around the vessel. And I'm gonna do the bottom of this one also, so that I can use, it's gonna sit. So I'm gonna continue doing that. I'm going to create all my forms and I'll be back. I'm about halfway through my project at this point, so I wanted to talk about some challenges that I'm having with it and things that are actually going well. I decided to go ahead and paint it with this flat tempera paint that I have. First thing I'm noticing is I probably should have waited until after I had it all constructed and done before I painted it, because once I painted it and then I drilled the holes after that, and you can see I had a lot of cracking in the paint. So I'm gonna have to go back and fix those up afterwards. I also decided to add on these little knobby things right here. I used wire, I coiled it, and then I put plaster strips over the top of it, and then I used plaster strips to attach them. And I have not done the wire for the top yet, but there's going to be wire connecting this one to this one as well. When I was planning this, I knew I was going to put the wire here, but I didn't think about how, I was thinking that the wire itself would be capable to hold the middle part up and the top part, but the more I started thinking about it, I was like, that's not going to be possible. So I cut down some little wood sticks that I had. I cut 3 of them to give it more support. You're not going to see the wood sticks when I'm done anyways, so I think they'll be just fine in there. What I did was I used air dry clay, and I wrapped it around the sticks out kind of like in a cone shape for each one, and then I used super glue to super glue the clay to the actual pot. A lot of this is brand new for me. I've never tried actually any of this. I've never even made the bowls. I just kind of had an idea of the ways I could make them, and so it's all new to me, but I think at this point it's going okay. Like I said, a couple challenges that I don't know that I expected. But I don't think there's anything that I've done that's going to damage the integrity of the piece, or that it's just not fixable. So I think I'll be okay. So here's my finished project. I am pretty pleased with it. There are definitely things that I learned throughout this process and things that I would change moving forward if I did this again, or I will do this again, but moving forward. I really like the weaving and the wire with the pots. However, I think it made this part of it maybe too large. I would probably cut this in half and figure out a way to maybe make it a little bit more round to fit into the shapes of the bowls themselves. As far as the top part of it, I love how the top part of it is. And full disclosure, I did not make the flowers for this project. I had made them previously for a fibers project, but I just put them in here to show you an idea of what can be done with them. It's just as unique looking without the flowers in it. So after my last video, when I had just the wire and the pots together, you can see I went through and I added the yarn weaved in. I added the wire and the top part and weaved in that as well. So here is a 360 view of it. I kind of, when I was thinking about this, I had the idea of like a strawberry pot in mind, which is why I put these little extensions on it. Not that I wanted that actual strawberry pot look of how like flowers could rest inside of it, but I like the extensions of strawberry pots. So that's why I chose to put the little knobbies on them. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.